Good morning, students. How are you? Hope you are all fine there. Today, I am going to teach the first essay that is called Of Studies. So, what is the title of the first essay? Of Studies. And this particular essay is very important, and we can expect an annotation or a question from this lesson, sure in the question paper, right? Okay, let's go into the first essay of studies written by Sir Francis Bacon. What is the name of the author? Sir Francis Bacon. Okay. Before going into the lesson, let's see about the author. And see, Sir Francis Bacon was a great philosopher, statesman, and a pioneer of modern scientific thought. And he is also regarded as the father of English essay. So what is an essay? An essay is a piece of writing on a particular subject. So this genre was introduced by this great fellow, Sir Francis Bacon. Okay. So as I said, he was a great philosopher. A learned man is so called philosopher. A learned man, an intellect, a wise man. So these are the words related to philosopher. And see, the second word, he is a statesman. What's the meaning of a statesman? A skilled and respected politician. A skilled and respected politician of more years of experience is called a statesman. So here we can understand he is also in politics, and he enjoyed many posts. He enjoyed many positions in political history of England. And a pioneer of modern scientific thought. So he is also regarded as the promoter of modern scientific thought. So we can understand by this word, he is fond of science. He likes observation of things. Okay. Here we can know what is the meaning of pioneer. It is also one of the important word you have to remember. The meaning of the word we should remember. The pioneer means a person who introduces an idea for the first time. And a person who is among the first to promote a new idea or concept for the first time. So such persons are called pioneers. So Tatas are the pioneers of Indian industry. We can give that example for this word pioneer. So like that, he is the pioneer of modern scientific thought. And see the second one. He was born on 2nd January 1561 in London and studied at Cambridge University. Here we have to know about the Cambridge University. Oh, what is the importance of Cambridge University? And have you heard the names of Oxford, Cambridge, Yale? So these are the very popular and topmost universities across the world. If the ranks are given, almost Cambridge University stood first. Sometimes it stood in first place, or sometimes it stood in second place. So that is the importance of it. So he studied at such a great university located in England, but not in London. Cambridge University is in England, but not exactly located in London. Remember that point. Okay. So as I said, he is regarded as the father of an English essay. That is the most important point we have to write in the answer sheet. Have to write in the examination about the author. Don't forget to write this point. He is regarded as the father of an English essay. Essay means, I just said, a piece of writing on a particular subject. Okay. And his works argued for the possibility of scientific knowledge. What his works promotes What kind of theorems his works suggests? His works argued for the possibility of scientific knowledge. So as I said, he is fond of science. Okay, and we can see some of the popular works written by him. See, just observe the names. The first one is Novum Organum, and the second one is Advancement of Learning, The New Atlantis, and Wisdom of the Ancients, and the evergreen book Essays. The most popular book, Essays. So these are the some of his popular books written by Sir Francis Bacon. Here see this one, Novum Organum. It sounds like a Latin. It sounds like Latin. Heard it? Okay. So these are the points we should remember our writer Sir Francis Bacon. And there is more information regarding our writer Francis Bacon also. He became a member of Parliament in 1594, and he got the position of Lord Chancellor in England, the most powerful position in King's Palace. Of course, there is a dark side about his biography. He was charged and imprisoned when he was when he was enjoying the position of Lord Chancellor. So put aside, we can remember he became a member of Parliament, and later he was appointed as the Lord Chancellor, which is the most powerful position in England in his era, at his time. Okay, so remember those things also, and these are enough for our writer. Let's see about the essay. So see, the present essay of studies was taken from his great book, Essays or Counsels, Civil and Moral. Where it is taken from? What is the source of our essay? It is taken from Essays, Counsels, Civil and Moral. Essays, Counsels, Civil and Moral. Of course, there are 4 or 5 words in the same title, but it is the name of one book. It's the name of only one book. So there is an history. Actually, the book Essays was first published in 1597 with 12 essays. Later, it again published in 16th century. 1602, it was republished with 32 essays. And finally, with this long name, it has appeared in 1625 with 58 essays. With 58 essays. And from the 58 essays, our of studies is one among them. One among them. So the book Essays or Counsels, Civil and Moral consists of 58 essays that was published in 1625. Originally it was published in 1597. Right? So you can write which year. You can write 1597 or you can write 1625. Either one is accepted. Okay? Let's see what about our essay. In this essay, he points out the purpose of study. He points out the purpose of study in a pithy and witty aphoristic style. In a pithy. It sounds new or odd, but it means, the word pithy means short and brief. Short and brief. If you look at the essay in the textbook, it consists of 1.5 page only. 1.5 page only. But though it looks small, though it was written in a small size, but the meaning of every sentence is extended to another level. It can be extended into several sentences. So every sentence is like a saying, is like a proverb. In this essay, he uses many Latin phrases, number of quotations, number of sayings. You can say the writings of our Francis Bacon is very popular in English literature, especially with the genre essays. with the genre prose. Right? Okay. And what he says another thing. He points out the purpose of study in a pithy, witty and aphoristic style. And see the word witty. Witty means fun. So there are a number of funny things. Comical things are also included in the essay. And what about the word aphoristic style? Aphoristic means Bacon's writings are always aphoristic. Aphoristic means to the point. He never says don't beat about the bush. He just want to say straightforward. So that is the style of aphoristic. And what are the other things regarding our essay? It informs various aspects of studies. It informs us various aspects of studies. So we can say in this essay he discusses the advantages and disadvantages of studies, the purpose of studies, what kind of books we have to read, and what kind of approach we have to read while reading different types of books. And finally he says how studies can cure the disease of the mind. Have you heard? Studies can cure the disease of mind. We are all knew that diseases of the physical diseases are generally cured by doctor or someone else. Generally cured by doctor. But here, studies can cure the diseases of the mind. So these are the new things we are going to learn in the essay of studies. Okay? Do you know the meaning of studies? Can anyone of you say the meaning of studies? What is studies? Studies are nothing but education, learning, and to pursue an academic thing. Right? So that is the meaning of studies. So these are the points we have to remember. We have to write as an introduction about the author and about the essay. So let's go into the essay. Right. Okay, so let's begin the essay in detail. Let's learn the essay in detail. What is the name of the essay? What I said in the earlier, of studies. Who is the writer of the essay? Sir Francis Bacon. Okay, if you see the essay is in detail, we can divide them in 5 parts. So there are 5 major things he said about studies. What is the first thing? Purpose of study. Purpose of study. So what is the purpose of study? We can say advantages of study. We can say here Bacon points out the advantages of study. How does a study help them? See the first one. Studies serve for delight and for ornament and for ability. Studies serve for delight. So book reading gives us pleasure. Book reading gives us pleasure. In olden days, reading books is the one and only pleasure, one and only entertainment those people had. Like nowadays, they do not have plenty of fields of entertainment. They do not have social media. They do not have WhatsApp and Facebook, Instagram, like all what we are having now. They want to get relaxed. They just open a sacred book or holy book and read for hours. And then another generation, 15th century or 16th century people, read these kind of books written by these kind of authors, dramas, novels, short stories. So these are the only entertainment for the people in olden days. So thus, studies gives us delight. So a book can give us happiness. We can get relaxed. We can refresh ourselves by reading a book. That is the primary purpose of study. And see the second one, ornament. So studies serve as an ornament. If you have more and more degrees, you will be honored. you will be regarded as a learned man. You will be regarded as a scholar. You know that a person who completed his doctorate is respected in the education field. Do you know that? So like that, studies use us as like an ornament. So that is the meaning of ornament. And for the ability. Studies increases ability. What ability? I am not talking about the physical ability. Mental ability. We can judge things better. We can judge people better. We can give advice to the people with our knowledge. See, even an experienced man turned to learned man for an advice. Of course, some people have so much of practical knowledge, but if you want to file a case against someone who made a harm to me, he definitely approach a lawyer and he definitely wait for the judgment given by the judge. A judge and a lawyer are called learned man. So, how much experience a person is not matters. If that experience will be useful to people or society, he must be educated. He must be educated. So like that, an experience in people even turn to learn man. So that is the threefold purposes of study. In the beginning of the essay, Mr. Bacon points out the threefold purpose of the study. The first purpose is studies gives us delight and pleasure in our leisure time. It gives us entertainment. We can get pleasure by reading a novel or by reading a drama or by reading a small story. So thus the primary purpose of the study is delight. And the second one is ornament. So much of degrees gives us respect. That is called ornament. So our degree gives us an honor in the society. We will be honored. Educated will be people are honored in the society. So we can say studies serves as an ornament. And the third purpose of the study is ability. So studies, bookish knowledge, give the potentiality to judge things, to give advice to people, and to take the decisions in a proper manner. So how all these things are done? Because of studies. So that is the first point, purpose of studies. Okay, the first point, the writer says in a positive way. Come to the second one. Here, the writer expresses the dark side of studies also. Have you ever thought that studies have disadvantages? But here Bacon says, studies have disadvantages also. What are the disadvantages that we get by studies? How can we say? The disadvantage is, remember one thing, excess of anything can be harmful. So, more reading of books make us sloth. Sloth means lazy, inactive. If you sit in one place and study for hours and hours, you will be inactive. You will become lazy. So that is the first disadvantage you will get from studies. So what is the another disadvantage the writer said in the essay of studies? The second disadvantage is our perception, our way look at the things will be changed. How our way of thinking will be changed? How way of our thinking will be changed because of studies? Because we started believe what is written in the book is true. So our knowledge is limited. We cannot come out of the box. Out of the box means we cannot think beyond that. You cannot think beyond that. So we believe whatever is written in the book. So sometimes the misguidance or written given by the books or perception is completely different. Is completely different. So that is another disadvantage of. So here back and points of two disadvantages of studies. So one is, the first disadvantage is more book reading make you lazy. And the second disadvantage is the perception. It changes our perception. We started believing what is written in book. It misguides us because the things happening in the society is completely different from the things what are mentioned in the book. It may misguide us. So we started believing. So what is written in the book is true, but sometimes it may misguide us. So these are the disadvantages we get by studies. Okay then. And coming to the third point, approach. So what is an approach? The way of treating studies, the way of reading books. How? What is the way of reading books? Everybody has its own approach to read a book. Here, the writer says that we should have a special way to read a book. What is a special way to read a book? What kind of things you have while reading a book? So different people treats different books in a different manner. Different people treats a book in a different manner. Here, see the annotation. Crafty men contempt studies. Simple men admire them, and wise men choose them. So remember, this is one of the important annotations that are given after the lesson, and we can expect this one in the examination paper. Right? Crafty men contempt studies. How different people treat studies in a different manner. Here the writer points out, he tells about the crafty. Crafty means cunning and clever. So craftymen, how craftymen treats the studies? They contempt studies. They underestimate studies. They do not take care of it. They are not useful. They believe that studies will not useful. So such kind of people are called crafty and clevermen. So crafty and clevermen treat studies as they underestimate. They're purposeless. Studies are purposeless. They believe that studies are purposeless. And the second category is simple men. So simple men like you, they just admire them. So the second category of people here back and points out is simple men. So how simple men treat studies? They just admire them. They respect studies. We can say they are fond of reading books. They like reading books. So simple men like reading books. Crafty men underestimate studies. They believe that studies do not have any purpose. And there is another category, wise men. So wise men use studies and apply them in their practical life. They just keep their knowledge in their mind only. They just not only keep their knowledge in mind only. They use in a practical life. Also. So that is the best thing with the wise men. So according to Bacon, there are three kinds of people. Their approaches are different. The crafty men treat studies, underestimate studies, and the simple men admire them. So as I said, they are fond of reading. They respect studies, And the last one, wise men, use them. So here we can understand studies can be guided by the practical experience. We should have the capability, we should have the ability to use them in our real life. Then only the fruits of the studies will use to us, So that's about the second important annotation. Crafty men contempt studies, simple men admire them, and wise men use them. And come to the fourth one, rules of study. Here, the writer suggests some rules of study. What kind of books we read? How can we read them? So these are the suggestions made by our author, Sir Francis Bacon. So what are the rules of study? What kind of books to be first? Some books are to be tasted, others to be swallowed, and some few to be chewed and digested. Some books are to be, so according to Bacon, there are some books to be tasted. What's the meaning of tasted? Tasted means if your mother cooked a dish and put before you and asked him to taste, you just put your finger or take a spoon and take the item and put it in your mouth and taste it. Like that, some books are to be tasted, like magazines. Take the example of magazines. We have plenty of magazines regularly available in the market, and some subscribe to such magazines. And those magazines, those people get the magazines to their home. So we need not to read them completely. We can skip the pages. We don't like all the items that are written in the magazines. So for those books can be tasted. That means we need not to put complete focus on them. We just read magazines for pleasure, just for entertainment, just for spending time with a book. Okay, that was the first rule of study. And another one is others to be swallowed. Others to be swallowed. Here Bacon advises us we have to read some books completely and quickly. Like take your textbooks, take your books that are related to your subjects. Take a physics textbook or take a chemistry textbook or take an English textbook. You have to read them completely and quickly. So they are useful to some purpose. For examination purpose, sometimes they are the things what are written in those textbooks are very useful in our life also. So that's why in the second thing the writer said some books are to be swallowed. Swallowed means here we can understand some books are to be read completely and quickly. We can take a textbook as an example. And see the third one, few to be chewed and digested. There are third category of books. There are more books we have to chew and digest. Here, what's the meaning of chewed and digested? Here, Bacon suggests that some books have to be read completely, and try to understand the content of the book because they are valuable, they are useful in our real life. We can apply those rules or those suggestions we can follow in our real life. So what kind of books we have to chew and digest? Take the example of sacred books. Take Bhagavad Gita. So plenty of knowledge is included in it. And the epics like Ramayana, Mahabharata, Bible. So these are the religious texts. We can read and understand them completely. The things what are written, the advices, the great things what are written in those books will help us, they guide us our life in a proper way. So such kind of books should be chewed and digested according to that. So remember, my dear students, and this is also one of the important annotations among the four. So here three kinds of books the writer suggested. The first one is some books are to be tasted and others to be swallowed and few other books chewed and digested. There is a fourth kind here he mentioned in the essay. Some books like distilled water. They have flashy things. So distilled water, like they look like water, but those water is, that water is tasteless. Have you seen a distilled water? We generally use distilled water in batteries, inverter batteries or car batteries. The bottle of the distilled water looks like a mineral water, but if you taste it, it tastes less. It is tasteless. It doesn't have any taste. It doesn't have any taste. So like that, some books appears bright. Those cover pages attracts us, but there is no matter. There is no matter and there is no important things in the content. So such books are appears like distilled water, and that is the fourth category. And so these are the books we can read in a different manner. So, and these things are comes under rules of study. So these are the rules. Here Mr. Bacon suggests us to and see the fifth point. How studies can cure the diseases of the mind. How studies can cure the diseases of the mind. Okay? అంతేమీ కోపం రావట్లేదా అక్కడికి వెళ్ళిపోతున్నాం. So this is the first annotation what we are given, that are given after the lesson. So studies serve for delight, for ornament and for ability. And here the writer Bacon suggests us threefold purposes of the study. The first thing is delight. Here the writer trying to say is studies gives us pleasure. Studies makes us happy while we are in leisure time. So in leisure time, just take a book and study for some time. It gives you some pleasure. So that is the primary purpose of the studies. So studies serves for delight. And second thing, for ornament. So studies helps us to argue with people in an intelligent manner. It helps us to improve the ability to talk with people cleverly. So that is the second purpose that studies serves for us. So here ornament means studies can improvise the quality in us to argue with others, to make a conversation with others in a better way. So that is the help made by the studies. And the last one is studies for the ability and for the ability. So studies give the power to the professional experts to make wise decisions. It helps learn people to think or to judge a man or a situation in a better way. So that is the ability we will get from these. So these are the three things, these are the three purposes that studies serve for us. So studies gives us delight. So a book reading gives us pleasure in leisure time, and ornament means it makes us to speak with people in an intelligent manner. And the third one, the ability, means it gives the professional experts to deal with the problems what they had in their business or in their profession. So a lawyer can take a right decision by reading concerned books in a better manner. So thus studies gives three purposes. First one is delight, and the second one is ornament, and the third one is ability. That is the meaning of the first annotation. Okay, as I said, see the last point. Reading maketh a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. In the concluding lines, before concluding the essay, the writer gives the important thing. How studies can cure the disease of the mind, and how studies helps to grow better. So better in the sense, better in knowledge way, better in this way, not in the physical way. So see the last. This is also one of the important annotation, and this is given as fourth annotation after the lesson. The reading makes a full man. Here, make it. This is the old English used in 15th century, because as a writer belongs to 15th century. So reading makes a full man. So reading helps a man grow into a complete man. Reading helps a man to grow in a complete man. How reading helps a man to grow in a complete man? If you read more and more books, you have great knowledge. You will have great knowledge, good knowledge. You can judge things in a better way. You can judge things in a better way by reading different kinds of books. So if you improve your book reading, so you will be considered as a full man according to writer. And then come to the next one, conference. So conference in the sense, arguing with people, conversation with others, making conversation with other people. So here, conference, a ready man, a debater. A debater should have the ability to think quickly, to speak quickly, and to reply in a quick manner. If you want to be an orator, you should have a thorough knowledge to speak on subjects. So like that, studies will improve the quality of conference. We can make arguments with others by reading so many kinds of books, by learn different kinds of subjects. So thus, the ability of conference will be improved by studies. Thus, the ability of conference with people, argument, makes you as a ready man. So how reading makes a man? Reading makes a full man, and conference a ready man. So this is also a famous quotation where using in education field, you know that. And the final thing is writing. So writing makes you an exact man. So here the writer suggests us learn more subjects and become a writer. A writer should have a command over his language and grip over the subject. So writer should have a command over language and subject. Then the writers have a place of an exact man. If you become a writer, you will be considered as a exact man. So a writer with profound knowledge said to be an exact man. Thus, these are the three things, these are the three abilities to determine a character. In this essay, Bacon uses unintelligible Latin phrases. So one of those phrases is, so see this one. Ebient studia in modus. Ebient studia in modus. Studies determine character. The Latin phrases means studies determines character. If you want to be whether you are a full man whether you are an exact man is decided by the studies according to Bacon. So that's why he used an apt Latin phrase, "Abient studia in mores." So studies determine our character. If you improve these three abilities, reading, conference, and writing. Reading, conference, and writing. So these are the abilities to decide your character. So the studies help us to grow an exact man or a complete man. So, and this is the meaning of the fourth annotation. Okay, please remember these points also. And come to the last thing. So there is another point here, Bacon touches. Studies can cure the diseases of the mind. Studies can cure the diseases of. How does studies cure the diseases of the mind? So we have the knowledge. We are all knew that if we have any physical diseases, we just directly go to the doctor and get the treatment. We know that. But according to Bacon, studies can cure also. There are some remedies for some diseases related to our mind. So see, he mentioned some subjects here: history, poetry, mathematics, moral. So some of the subjects he mentioned in his essay. Here, if you take the history, so history, if you read history, if you learn history, it makes people wise. We can learn so many good things and bad things from the battles, from the past. So history is nothing but past, record of past, or past events are considered to be the history. So many battles were happened, were done in olden days. We learn from schooling. We learn those old battles: Battle of Panipat, Battle of Plassey. So from every battle we learn. From history we can learn so many things. So thus, according to the writer, the subject history makes man wise, makes man smart. He will know so what things to do. He can take right decisions by reading history. And come to the second subject, he mentioned poetry makes us witty and imaginative. Of course, generally, poets have a separate kind of knowledge. They generally have fantasies. They just expose the beautiful things in a beautiful way. What an ordinary man can't see. What an ordinary man can't see with his own eyes. So poets have a different perspective. They just picturize the nature in a beautiful manner. So if you read poems, we will improve the ability of imagination. We can imagine things better. So by reading poetry, we will have two things. One is witty and the second one is imaginative. It will improvise our imagination power. So the second subject he mentioned here is poetry, and the third one maths. Like you. So mathematics, the subject mathematics gives us subtle thing. Subtle means calm. And it makes you think sharp. It makes you grasping things in a rapid manner. The math students always be told as a sharp tip, like clever like you. So if you learn mathematics, our mind will be think in a rapid manner or fast manner. It will make your mind sharp. It will make your mind sharp. Thus, the subject maths will help us in that way. And if you read moral, so the subject of moral makes a man grave. Grave means serious. He will know good and evil. He will know good and evil by learning moral. And there are so many subjects that helps us to determine our character. So these are the subjects he mentioned. So that's why he used the apt Latin phrase "appiant studia in mores." That means, what I said earlier, studies determine our character. So like that, different subjects will improvise different abilities in us. Like history makes us wise, that means we can improve our wisdom, and poets makes us imaginative, and maths makes us subtle, and moral subject makes us grave. So these are the subjects that will help us to improvise our character. And come to the next thing. How studies can cure the diseases of mind. So as I said, if you have any physical disease, just directly go to the doctor and get the treatment. The writer here suggests us, so by reading some subjects, we can cure some problems of our mind, For example, there are some sports that we generally play for some cure. If you take the bowling, so bowling and cricket. Here, bowling is good for kidneys. Here the writer used reins, R-E-I-N-S, reins. So reins means kidneys. So if you play bowling, so bowling we have two kinds of sports are here, bowling and cricket, and there is a ball which have the holes, and we put our fingers in that holes and throw like this. This is also called bowling. And these two sports help us for kidneys. If you have any problems regarding kidneys, so just practice bowling. And the next one, shooting. Another sport, shooting. Shooting is for the cure of lungs. If you have any small problems with lungs, you can practice shooting. So the sport shooting helps us to cure the disease of lungs, not completely, but somewhat it helps us. And the third thing is walking. Generally, doctors suggest us walking for digestion. If you have any problems with the digestion, if you walk for some distance, not for minimum 2,000 or 3,000 steps, you have to do to such distance. So like walking helps us digestion. So walking is the cure for digestion. So like that, how the sports are suggested for some kinds of physical problems, like, and some subjects will help us to cure some problems related to mind. So take the example. The first one is maths is the great cure for mind wandering. The subject maths is best cure for mind wandering. What is the mind wandering? Wandering means moving from one place to another aimlessly. You don't have any destination. You just go that side and this side. So you don't know why you are moving like that. So that is called wandering. Moving from one place to another place aimlessly is called wandering. So if your mind goes in that manner, just started or practice mathematics. So mathematics will make you sit in a subtle place. It will make you sharp. It will make your mind sharp, as I said earlier. So mathematics is the best cure for mind wandering. And take the next subject, philosophy. So that is one of the important subjects. So the subject philosophy is used for, it is the best cure for muddle thinking. So muddle thinking means it refers confused thinking. Confused. Some things makes us so confused. We are unable to put the things in a right order. We are not able to put the things or put the situation in a right manner. So your thinking process, your thought process makes in confusion. So in that time, the philosophy helps us. The subject philosophy helps us to cure the muddle thinking. So like that, if you study the natural subject, it improves the depth of the mind. You can say it improves the depth of the mind. So like that, some subjects are best cure for some diseases, like Mathematics helps for mind wandering, and philosophy helps for muddle thinking. And take the most important subject, law. So law is the best medicine for bad memory. If you are forgetting very soon, if you are forgetting things, if you have problem of memory, whether it is a long-term memory or short-term memory, just try to practice law. Sorry, try to study the subject law. So if you study law, you have to remember more and more years and more the laws. So that's why here the writer suggests that the subject law is the best medicine for bad memory. It will improvise your memory power, because in the law subject we have to remember number of laws related to the crimes of some cases. So thus these subjects help us to diseases the mind, diseases of mind, not for the physical cure. Okay, remember. So thus the writer concludes with this point: studies can cure the diseases of mind. Thus studies help us to improvise us in a better manner.